Could Allah have a son without a woman?
Adopted son.
No, can he have an actual son? Can he have a son, his own son, without a woman?
But that wouldn't be called a son if that
It
happens.
would be. I'm just asking, brother. Could he have a son without a woman?
Without a woman. Yes, adopted son, brother.
Not adopted. All right. So what have you been listening to the conversations?
I just joined in just like 5 minutes ago.
Okay. All right. So the point that I've been arguing is that Allah is not God, because I've been asking this question on whether or not Allah can have a son if he wanted to. What do you say?
Okay. The reason why Allah won't have a son, Allah is not just the doer of everything. Okay. Had Allah been the doer of everything, okay, he wouldn't do things randomly out of no reason out of no wisdom. Okay?
No, yeah, I'm not asking what he would do. I'm just asking, could he have a son if he wanted to?
Yes, he could if he wanted to.
Gotcha. All right. And so could he have a son by himself, or would he need help to have a son?
By himself.
Okay, right. If he needed help to have a son, then that would mean he's not all powerful, right?
Of course.
Yeah. For the guys who are asking, my phone died, so I'm off on TikTok and my charger's not in here, and I don't feel like getting up to get it. I'm about to end the stream after this anyway, so we're all good. But okay, so right, so Allah could have a son if he wanted. He could do it by himself. If he needed help to do it, then that would mean he's not all powerful and therefore not God. All right, so this is where my argument comes. Okay, so there's a verse in the Quran, and it says in chapter 6, verse 101. It says, hold on, let me pull it up for you so you can see it yourself.
How could he have a son when he doesn't have a wife?
You got it.
All right. Do we know any other way we could have sons, offsprings?
Adoption.
Adoption, exactly. So that would still wouldn't make someone a real son of yours, right? It's an adoption.
He is a real son. Just an adopted one.
So it is possible that Allah could have adopted Jesus, peace be upon him, as a son because he was a righteous person, correct?
It's possible.
Okay. So what is the problem with that notion then?
It says here that in order for Allah to have a son, he would need a wife.
Yeah, because that's how we know that's how we get offsprings, is with a mate. There is no other way of us having a son without a mate.
Right. So Allah, just like us, in order to have a mate, to have a son, he would need a mate, just like we need a mate, right?
Right. But
so
that's how we have offsprings.
Right. And so that means that Allah's not all powerful because he can't have a son all by himself. He would need help.
No, he could create one, but that would be his creation. That wouldn't be his son.
Well, he can't create a son without a wife.
No, but he can create anything from his creation. He could take as a son, but that would be his creation.
Not unless he has a wife. See,
no, but if you want a real son that has his essence and his attributes, then from what we know as human beings, the only way to have offsprings like that is through a wife.
Right. So in order for Allah to have a real son, he would need help.
No, that's not having help. He could create one, but that would be an adoption.
Wait, again, he wouldn't be able to create one without a mate.
Yeah, but is there any other way that we know that you could have a son?
Brother, come on. I need you to focus and deal with this. Okay.
Right.
He just said.
Right.
How can he have a son when he doesn't have a mate? Right.
Exactly. Okay.
So based on that phrase, in order to have a son, he needs a mate, right?
Okay. Yes.
So that means in order to have a son, he would need help from a mate.
Okay, so according to Christianity, how did God have a son then? According to you guys,
excellent question. According to
Okay.
Christianity, the Father begets Jesus from his own essence. He eternally brings forth Jesus from his own essence, the Son.
Okay, I have a question for you then. If he brings Jesus out of his own essence, that means Jesus has been created. He has a beginning.
Nope, because the
How
Father
could he
is
not have a
eternal.
beginning?
Because the Father's
Yeah,
essence is eternal, right? So, because the Father's essence is eternal, what
right.
comes forth from the Father's essence is also eternal. It's not a beginning time where that happens. You know, it's
But
similar. I use this example a lot. This might help. Like, so you know how the sun always shines light as long as it's alive, right?
okay,
The sun in the sky. You following me?
okay,
Imagine the sun is eternal. Now, the sun, as long as it's alive, it's bringing forth light. So, if the sun is eternal, then the sun is going to be eternally bringing forth light, right?
okay.
So, that light that comes forth from the sun is also eternal, just like the sun is, right?
Yeah, but that's the sun. Allah is
Yeah,
nothing like the sun.
I put it in the example. I use that analogy. So similarly, the Father, because he's eternal, the Father's nature is eternal, and he's forever, eternally bringing forth the Son. He's forever begetting the Son. So just like how the
Okay.
light that the Son produces or brings forth, right, is eternal as long as the Son is eternal. The Son, Jesus, is eternal as long as the Father is eternal.
But he has a beginning though.
That's not a beginning. It's literally eternal, bro. So
Okay,
with that being said, so you got the answer for us from our side on how does the Father have a son? How does he have a son? It's not through a mate, but it's of his own power, of his own essence. He brings forth a son. But with
okay, but
Allah,
once you
with
say you bring it
hold on,
forward, that means you're creating
SQ,
it.
SQ. It's okay. If you want to disagree with my theology, that's fine. But
Okay, okay,
focus on the contention here. The
okay.
contention is that we have different paradigms. My God, according to Christianity, doesn't need a mate to have a son. In Islam, Allah does need a mate to have a son.
But you got to understand, that's how offsprings are created, is through a mate. Okay, there is no other way of creating sons. But if Allah could create one, but that would be His creation. That
All
won't
right,
be His son. The
all right.
same way.
Let me throw this at you. Okay, let me throw this at you. You said that the only way to have a son is through a
Without
mate,
a mate.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
For you to call it a son.
I got you. Is Jesus the son of Mary?
Yes.
Did Mary have a mate?
No.
So Mary didn't need a mate in order to have a son, Jesus. Yet Allah needs a mate in order to have a son of his own.
But that was a miracle.
You see, it was a miracle, right? So
Right.
God has the miraculous ability to create sons without mates, right? He can produce sons without mates, but he can't do that for himself. He can't
But
miraculously, by his own power, produce
right.
a son without a mate.
No, but Mary, peace be upon her, was a woman, and
No,
Jesus was created in her womb, right? So
no.
Allah basically is saying that how could he have a son unless he has a wife, right?
Uh-huh.
Like Mary,
No, not
who
like
can,
Mary. Mary
like
didn't have a husband. She didn't need a
I know,
husband
I
for a
know,
son.
but Jesus was still conceived inside of her, right?
Yes, without a mate.
Without a mate, but she was still a woman, and Jesus was conceived inside of her. That's how
So,
we know a son is born is through a woman,
so,
and that's
all
what
right. So,
happened.
at first, it was we know that children are born through, spouses. You need a spouse is required. Now we're at the point where, well, now all you need is a woman to have a son. Right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So, could Allah have a son without a woman?
Adopted son.
No. Can he have an actual? Can he have a son, his own son, without a woman?
But that wouldn't be called a son if that
It would be.
happens.
I'm
How?
just asking, brother. Could he have a son without a woman?
Without a woman. Yes, adopted son, brother.
Not adopted. We're talking about
Yeah.
actual son. So
But
come on, brother.
that,
I need you to work with me because I
yeah,
gotta go.
I understand, but you gotta
Okay.
understand.
If you understand, then answer, bro.
No, no, no.
Answer.
I am answering you.
You're not. Can Allah have a son without a woman?
Of course, yes. From his
Okay.
creation. From his creation.
Okay, then. But your
Yeah.
Quran says that he
Right.
can't. Because your Quran says he needs a mate to have a son. So
But
your idea
listen,
of God means saying that he doesn't need a woman to have a son. He can do it by himself. Anything of his creation, fine. But according to the Quran, no. Allah needs a mate to have a son. If he wanted to choose of any of his creation, he would need a mate to create this thing that would be his son.
because nothing is like Allah, okay? So Allah cannot create another person like himself because there's nothing like him. That's what makes him a God. He's
Mm,
unique. So if he
mm,
brings forth someone just like himself, okay,
mm.
then that kind of destroys the whole concept of a God, of him being unique,
I think
the
I think that
only
you have
powerful.
you have a point when it comes to creation. That's why if Allah were to have us, like for example, if Allah had a son, the Quran says that Muhammad would be the first of his worshipers. You familiar with that verse?
Yes.
Okay. Why would Allah's son be worthy of worship?
That's hypothetical,
I know. So if hypothetically he had a son, he would be
right?
worthy of worship. Why?
Yes. Because it will be a God.
Okay. Now, if he's Allah's son, that means he has divinity. So he has the
Right.
same nature that Allah has, right?
Yes. Technically
Good.
speaking, yeah.
Very good. So then he has the same nature that Allah has. It wouldn't be a separate nature. It's the same nature that Allah has.
No, but you're taking a hypothetical situation and
I know, but
trying to make it a fact.
well,
Okay, but that's
no. It is a fact. Look, the fact is that Allah's son would be God like Allah is. That's the fact, right?
but
That's what he says.
no, that's not
So
a fact. That just because Allah is saying that doesn't mean it's a fact.
so Allah
That's
just be talking out the side of his neck.
That's totally that's totally hypothetical. I could say, well, I will be a police officer if a pig flies. Okay, that doesn't mean pigs actually fly. Okay, it will
I
never
know.
occur that pigs will
But
fly.
if the pig flew, you would become a police officer, right? If you saw it.
Yes, but that's
Exactly.
the if. But that'll never happen.
Do you see how the hypothetical points out a reality? So the hypothetical brings out a reality. If Allah had a son, he would be worthy of worship. So this is talking about a reality. If he had a son, the reality of this would be that he's somebody worthy of worship because he's God like Allah is.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so now look at the implications of that even further. Because this son is God like Allah is, there's only one divine essence. There's only one divine being of God, of Godhood, right? Only one divine essence. So if there's Allah, who would be the father of this son, who also shares that nature of Allah, that just means that there's still one divine essence that's just shared between the father and the son. It's not two different gods. It'll be the same God that is just multi-personal, the father and the son. Welcome to Christianity, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing that I have a hard time understanding.
Come on home to Christianity, baby. Hey, Allah understands it. He's just waiting on you to catch up.
No, but that's the thing with the concept of of Jesus being his God's son. He's the same age as God. Okay, you say he's eternal, just like God. He was not born of a woman. Okay, he is human. He has a face of a human. Everything about him is human, and God is unique. So everything that we know that makes a son, okay, Jesus does not have, but yet you consider him a son.
Well,
That's what
Jesus is the son because he is begotten of the Father. This eternal essence and nature that the Father has, he eternally brings forth the word. That's why he's identified as the Son, because he's begotten of the Father eternally. Okay? You don't have to come from a mate and a pregnant woman in order to be a son. God is God, not man or animal. Okay? He's different from us and completely unique. So he can have a son without a mate, without an animal, without a womb, but of his own essence and nature, he can beget a son. He doesn't need help.
So, okay, this is the other thing. Okay, if God could bring a son out of his own essence, is God created as well? Was there another God that brought God from his own essence as well?
Why are you saying created as well? What are you not getting, bro? What are you not getting? I'll ask it again, and this will be the last time because I'm gonna go. If you don't get it.
Yeah,
I do like you, by the way. Remember the analogy I gave with the eternal sun in the sky, right?
Okay.
If the sun is eternal, the light that comes forth from the sun is also eternal, correct?
Okay. But that's if the sun is eternal.
Exactly. If the sun is eternal. So
Okay.
if the sun is eternal, then the light is also eternal. That comes forth from the sun. It's not a point in time that it's created. It's being brought forth eternally. There's not a point in time where it began to be brought forth, because the sun never began. As long as the sun is eternal and infinite, then its light that it produces is infinite and eternal. So similarly, the Father is eternal. He's infinite. And he eternally and infinitely brings forth the Son. Like that Son infinitely brings forth the light. So as long as the Father has an eternal and infinite essence, the Son also has an eternal and infinite essence, since he's being brought forth from the Father's essence. Okay? So there is no point where he's created.
Bro, why so complicated, man? Why is your theology so complicated?
Please. If I were to ask you simple things about your theology, you would be saying, Allahu Alam, Allah knows best. You wouldn't have any answers. It'll be complicated for you. So don't do that.
Okay, but also the example of the sun you're giving, okay, but that's the thing. The sun is not eternal. So any example you give of the sun is false.
But the Father is, right? The Father is eternal, right?
The Father is, but the Son is not. Right. So the analogy you're giving of a son,
it's called an analogy, bro. You know what an analogy is?
Yes, an analogy, but the Son is not eternal. Allah,
what's an analogy? What is it? What's an analogy?
Comparison.
Okay. So an analogy is a way of comparing to bring out a truth, right? You're pointing to something that's not a reality, but it's just a figurative expression to bring out the truth of the reality of what we're talking about, right? So we know that the Son isn't literally eternal. Just in this analogy, we imagined it was to bring out the truth and understanding of the Father and the Son.
Okay. All right, man. I got you. Anyways, I know you probably got to go. You got to.
I do. But whatever. Come back anytime, bro. I like you. Come back anytime.
Sounds good, man. All right. Take care.
You too. All right, ladies and gents.